think people understand the inequity and how far the U.S. dollars goes in certain countries. Because we've been lied to that America is the greatest country in the world.
Yeah.
I don't think any country is the greatest. I think there's pros and cons of each one, because if happiness is your goal, I think America is the worst country because it encourages everything that leads to, we have more people on depression medication here, just on in and out of hospitals. We have more sickness and disease in America than any other country.
Hey, welcome back. I'm Dr. Moby, and I have a special intelligent HBCU graduate with me, a fellow HBCU graduate with me. And we're going to discuss traveling in a different way, because on social media, traveling is the whole thing. It's a thing, really, for African Americans and Black globally. But I think more importantly, it's a movement. And I think that the journey, there's a journey, and there are some things that you just need to have as you journey. Whether that journey is globally or your journey within your own state, your own continent, your own country. So I want to have a conversation that focus really on Black women, African American women, Caribbean women, because also our guest is a mixture of both Caribbean and Black American. So I want to hear from her, and I hope that you can really just lean into this conversation. So Ms. Courtney, I thank you. Did I leave out anything that you'd like us to know about me?
No, I think that's good. So hello, and thanks for having me. So I always consider myself Trini Creole, Black American blend. So my mom's side is Louisiana Cajun Creole, well, I guess Louisiana Creole. My dad is from Trinidad, South America. So growing up in an international household from a young age, I think really inspired me to travel. I was always taught that, of all things, to get experiences in travel, that's going to be more fulfilling than attaining material things. And there's nothing wrong with material things, but that was just always pushed in my household, especially growing up. I heard stories of my dad swimming in the Amazon and seeing all these exotic places and things. And instead of watching hours of TV, we were forced to read Britannicas and encyclopedias and write reports. And so I would just pick random destinations and write a report, and then I can go play outside. So my mother tried to give us some boundaries where you just can't sit and watch TV for hours and hours. I think from a young age that always made me interested in being a global citizen, not just looking at the parameters of our 4 miles radius that most of us kind of stay in. We self-limit that based on our environment and that we're raised in. So yeah.
What is a benefit as a Black person in America? Many of us say we don't have money, and I have to tell my girlfriends all the time, you have the money because you carry Louis, you carry Gucci. So it's what you prioritize. Because many of us, not all, but many of us, working class, we drive big fancy cars, we spend a lot of money on name brand clothing. You and I both, we just decide that we want to take our money and have experiences. But
exactly.
What do you think are the benefits
of traveling? There's so many. I'll start with the thing I feel like we all need here in 2020 is your mental health. Like it does. I feel like the therapy you need, especially, I encourage everybody to take a trip by themselves at least once to get out of their comfort zone. I have a girlfriend right now, she will not go out to a restaurant and eat by herself. I said, that's going to be the best meal you have. Sometimes that's the best meal you can have, to sit there, because she's worried about other people. Those people are not worried about you. Everybody's on their own. And I feel like it's the same with travel. You get to finally, and I think 2020 has been a very interesting year. In the beginning, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Because I was one of those people, like I said, I had that contrast. I was on the go for the last year and a half up until COVID. I traveled every Monday through Friday for work consulting. And I was in aerospace, manufacturing, automotive industries. So I'm on a plane 6 a.m. Monday morning. I wouldn't get back home to sometimes 9 p.m. Friday night, and I get my weekend.
Okay.
COVID has shut all that down. There's now meetings 12 hours a day. I know there's some people working from home, but it's like from travel, you get to finally just sit with yourself. And a lot of people have avoided that. I think 2020 has opened the door for people to finally, you got two choices this year. I feel like 2020 is going to be the best year of your life because it's going to be transformational, or you're going to succumb to thinking everything's being taken away instead of this looking as, no, your goal should be like the phoenix. You can rise in the ashes. This is transformational, So but you have to sit with yourself. And I feel like traveling gets you that mental health where you're just able to just engulf in another culture, explore, challenge yourself, open yourself to new ideas, new ways of foods, new things of trying, because that's how you spark creativity. You're going to get new ideas. You might go to another country and see something they do totally different there. And go, oh, wow, I can bring this back to the States and open up a new market, not just food. It could be the way, like the assembly line. I've seen that overseas in Asia. I was in Taiwan, in Taipei years ago, and I remember seeing how they had food, like if you go to a restaurant here or Chipotle, they already have pre-stuff done. Like they would already have things done. Like, oh, if you like it with extra guac, all the extra guac are here. So you could just grab and go,
Okay.
So they have a lot of people. You got to think about countries that have a lot of people and if it's a restaurant, lunch hours, they have to find creative ways to service a lot of people at one time, very fast, efficiently, low cost, and good quality.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a business-minded person, traveling is great for you because now you can expose yourself to things other countries are doing, and then you pick what's great, apply it, learn, and go. The second thing I would say is kind of goes back to opening your mindset, is getting new friendships. And just some of them can be lifetime. And it's one of those things where you can meet somebody abroad, stay in touch with them, develop a relationship, especially now with social media. It's so much easier to keep in touch. When I first started traveling, we were writing letters, or you might have a phone call once every 3 months because that call might be $40-$50. Remember buying them prepaid phone cards? Look, we're dating ourselves now, but that was before WhatsApp when you could just text and call. But now it's so much easier. So when I go in certain countries, I keep a little folder on my phone where I put like DR, taxi driver, I think his name was Leon. When I get in town, I played at some of the best golf courses when I was like in the Dominican Republic, and I got my 2 favorite caddies in my phone. So when we get in town, I'm like, hey, when are you working? We need a tea time, help us out, so, and I love to play golf. So that's something I try to travel, and, whatever you love to do, it's going to probably be somewhere abroad that you can expose yourself to. And I would say the other thing is globally, you touched on this earlier, as a Black person, and to me, those things apply to anybody, like whoever you are, all races can benefit from travel. As a Black person, traveling is healing. And the reason I say that, did I lose you?
No.
Oh, okay. Traveling is healing because it goes back to what I was saying before. You can breathe. It's like this burden has been lifted. And I feel so many of us, depending on where you live, your socioeconomic status, we're walking around every day in fight or flight mode.
That's right.
We don't know. I mean, so much has happened, and I'm going to say both crime, desperation. And if you think about, I always go back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. When you're in survival mode, morals don't exist. And when you go to another country, you get to see people who are living on a fraction of what you make. They're not in survival mode. They're already at legacy and worried about their family. They found ways to live and not only thrive, but be happy with a fraction of what we have here. So seeing people living in extreme poverty, where like I have an aunt who's in the jungle, literally, she chose to live in the jungle in Trinidad. She's in the bush. You have to park down the hill and like hike up to get to their house. And they don't have running water.
Oh, wow.
They have to go down and like refill it, but they choose to live this simple life. Like, and she's got to be at least 65 now, but she has the body of a 25-year-old. Everybody there is healthy and just beautiful. I mean, it was just such an amazing experience. And that's just, for you to see family. But when you go to other countries and you see them living with just the bare necessities and they're happy, and we have so many people here with luxury cars, and you mentioned it too, it's a choice. Like, you can have material things, or if those material things make you happy, then fine, but I would always suggest and encourage people to travel more, because you'll find that you're going to be so much more happier with less, and those experiences will bring you so much joy, and just it could be life-changing, really. People say, well, it's so expensive to travel, and I say it's really not if you plan and budget right. I know some teachers that travel for 3 months a year when they're off during the summer. There's ways to do it. Okay, the other thing I did when I first started traveling is you asked what are the other benefits. I had no plan. I think there's a benefit in not having a plan. I would check some of the travel pirates and some of these sites. Like, we went to Vancouver, and it's just a quick recent example. Delta had some type of airfare on their system where I bought 3 round-trip tickets to Vancouver from Los Angeles, and it was $0. I think it was $45 for taxes. The whole flight was free. Other times there's an airfare that might pop up, and you can go from New York to Dubai for $99 round trip. I know there were hundreds of people I saw in a few travel groups that I'm in that were posting about it. And that's the other thing. I joined travel groups so I can find out, because one person might say, hey, I just happened to be on this site, or my Google alert came up. You guys got to buy it now while it's there. So in many cases, and how I ended up in some of these, like Sri Lanka wasn't a place I heard people like talk about traveling, but we found really cheap tickets and we just took advantage of it. And I always let the travel deal determine the destination, instead of me saying, oh, I'm going to go to Greece. Never know. And I believe we're all guided, and things pop up and fall in our laps all the time. We don't take advantage of those opportunities. And years ago, I had some health challenges, and I said, if I get out of this and go through treatment and I can actually walk again. I had suffered with severe rheumatoid arthritis, where it was debilitating. Like, my hands were swollen, my foot was swollen, I couldn't walk. I was constant fatigue, and I had a couple fainting spells at work where I was so anemic and so weak. And I was like, okay, if I get out of this, I'm gonna live, just fully. And when an opportunity presents yourself, you take advantage of it. And I started thinking about it like, okay, well, what's stopping me from going?
Exactly.
Like, what's stopping anybody from going? And it's just you and your mindset.